Alright guys, quick run through on my 3 waters Big Fish 120. I've been getting some questions on how I rig things and how I've done things, so I decided just to make a video. Bear with me, my first time ever making a video. I also got a bit of a nose cold, so if you hear me sniffling in the background, that's why. I apologize. I plan on using this for some camping trips this year and quite a bit of bass fishing, and I bought it with both of those in mind, right? So you'll see that I left a lot of open space on this kayak. The front, or the rear well, the front well, I stay completely empty because this is where I'm going to pack my hammock, my cooking stuff, anything that I can to go camping. And I don't want to have to rearrange it. I'm going bass fishing this week, camping next week. Let me figure out where to put everything. I am a little bit OCD about everything having its place and looking neat. All right, so you'll kind of see that as a theme as I'm going through this. I did go with the Engel dry box / cooler. I do use it as a cooler. I'll show you what I do for tackle here in a few minutes, but I do use it as a cooler. I do want to point out that if you get the 19-quart Engel, it will not fit sideways with the rod holders. All right, I did have to take them off. I do have Velcro. Attaching it, I got double-sided Velcro on both sides, and you'll see that I added a pad eye with a strap of Velcro at the top, which keeps it really secure. I've never had any problems with it, and I've had this kayak out about 5 times. All right. My rod leashes, this would be one of my very few complaints about this boat. The hooks that they put on these rod leashes are not big enough to fit over a standard size carabiner. So for right now, until I fix it, I just kind of looped it through itself just in case I go over. Again, I fish on very calm lakes most of the time. I don't anticipate going over, but just in case it's there. Just a nitpick thing. Other than that, the boat is actually great. Coming down the side of my paddle in the paddle keep, you'll notice I keep the left-hand side open as much as possible. I'm right-handed and I tend to fish off the left-hand side of the boat most of the time. I did buy this as a package from Austin Kayak, and you'll see they sent me a 240 centimeter paddle. In my opinion, it's just not long enough. I am getting ready to upgrade. I'm going to order a 260 at least, because I get seriously wet no matter how I adjust my paddle rings. It just doesn't work for me. Took off the stand assist strap. Took it off. You don't need it in this boat. Right? It's plenty stable to stand up in. I've got some injuries, so my balance isn't the greatest, but I can still stand up in it easily, sit down in it easily without the paddle assist strap. You'll also notice, look, I'm a little vertically challenged. I'm about 5'6", and look at the pedals. Right? I have them pulled all the way back. Right? So this boat was designed with bigger guys in mind. Coming up to the center, I do have the Lowrance Hook 4 Chirp fish finder. Right? I'm pretty brand new to fish finders. So far, so good. I'm still kind of learning to figure it out. Inside the storage, I do have 2 batteries. I just cut out some foam, like furniture foam padding you can get at any arts and crafts store to mount the batteries in, and it holds them in there really, really well. The second battery, the smaller one, I want to put a waterproof USB or 12-volt plug so that I can recharge some of my electronics. My next minor complaint, really it's nothing, is that these rod tip stagers, the whole rod's tip system, just doesn't work for me. It may work for other people. It just didn't work for me. So I took the rubber guards off, and I figured I can use those mounting points for something better. On this side, this weekend, I'm going to start, and I am going to make a GoPro mount for the front. Hooked to this with my GoPro hooked up. This will be the view. Right? And so I'll be looking at that view. It should give me a pretty nice view of fishing and still use the factory mounting points. Up here in the front, Again, I try to keep my hatches pretty clear for camping, but you'll see on the other side, the first thing I did was I used one of those mounting points, put some rope around it. The rope has a carabiner on it, and the excess is tucked up into one of the rod tip stagers. That way, if I want to beach the boat or tie off to something, I'm already tied up, and all I have to do is clip the carabiner around it. It has come in handy so far. All right. On the right hand side, I do have the Scotty rod mount holder that came with the package that I bought. Made my own adapter just using a washer and kind of ground down the sides with my angle grinder. Works really well. It is solid. All right. You can see I'm moving the entire rail. I have no problems with it. I typically only bring 3 rods out with me anyway. The other front loop that I repurposed from the rod tip stagers, I just made a loop for right now. This may not be permanent, but I did get a Vibe stakeout pole. Now, the Vibe stakeout pole, I got it because it was a 3-piece and the price was really good. It is pretty sturdy, all right? We'll see how the 3-piece holds up over time, but for the price, I really couldn't go wrong. All right, so I just made a loop and I just stick the front of the stakeout pole through the loop to just kind of hold it in place a little bit better. In the middle, I hold it on with the paddle park. All right. I also added the Yak Attack lever lock anchor trolley. You can see my mounting points. Works pretty well. I've had it out a couple times. Does the job really, really well, you know, with the rig. All right. You also see I added the low profile anchor wizard. All right. Low profile anchor wizard. I did run the cord forward. I added a pad eye with a couple stainless steel screws and a carabiner. If I want to use my anchor, I keep my anchor in the compartment on the right side. Break out the anchor. You can see I have a loop. I just happen to have a carabiner attached to it for right now. Sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. But clip it to the anchor wizard through the anchor trolley, and I'm good to go. Works really well. And I was worried about the line getting caught up as I slide it back and forth. I haven't had any problems, even with the parking pole on the side. Right? Doesn't mean I may not have in the future, but I haven't had any so far. The other thing I did, and this is temporary, the other paddle leash, like I said, not big enough to fit a standard carabiner, so on the back of my parking pole, I just have it looped around it and clipped to my anchor wizard just as another mounting part so he can't go anywhere. So I said I'd talk about my tackle storage. Well, I've made a big effort to pare down how much stuff I bring with me on the boat. So I forced myself this year to go with one Ziploc bag full of plastics, and this is usually too much, all right? And there's that nice little cutout behind the seat. I just throw it in there. And then all the rest of my tackle, I force myself to fit everything that I want into two 3700s, which I keep underneath the seat. They are a little bit noisy, and I'm gonna figure out something to do there. Right now, I think I may get some foam padding and stick it to the bottom so they don't make a whole lot of noise. My only other complaint besides the paddle leashes would be that this floor is a little noisy for bass fishing. When I start moving stuff around, if I drop something, it does get really loud. Right? You'll see I do have my hog trough underneath the seat for right now. It's just because I haven't really found a good place for it. And then over in the side compartment, tied to the seat bungee, I do have my pliers. I also have a serrated knife. I also carry a knife on my PFD, and I have a multi-tool that stays underneath there. And the fishing pliers is the only thing that I really care about, so they are tied off. Another thing about the flip-up seat, I don't really do any fly fishing. I stand up in this boat a lot, but I haven't had the need to lift up the seat. I've done it a couple times just to say I did it, but there's plenty of space on the deck with the seat folded down to stand up and fish. All right, so usually the seat stays down, which gives me a couple more of those leashes to tie things off to, like my fishing pliers, and it also means that the straps for the seat, I just wrapped them up and zip tied them together, threw them in the side compartment to keep them out of the way. All right, that's kind of the basics. That's how I have things set up. Again, still learning about this, but as of right now, this setup is working really well for me. And I may get rid of the angle box. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with anything. The big thing, I just have to figure out a better mounting place for my hog trough. All right, hey, let me know what you think, guys. Anything better that I could be doing? Any tips, any questions you have, just let me know and I'll get back to you. Thanks.